Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something today. Success is not an accident. Leadership is not a title. True success and leadership come from understanding divine principles and applying them with diligence. The world may define success by wealth, power, or influence, but the Bible gives us a much higher and enduring definition. Success is fulfilling your God-given purpose. Leadership is not about control, but about service. So today, let's explore 8 powerful biblical principles that define true success and leadership. If you embrace these, you will not only be successful, but will also impact the world in ways that outlive you. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." This verse reveals a fundamental truth. True success is not found in personal ambition, but in fulfilling God's purpose. Purpose is the foundation of success. Before a product is created, the manufacturer determines its function. A phone is made to communicate, a car to transport, and a lamp to give light. The value of any product is tied to its ability to fulfill its intended purpose. Likewise, you were designed with a divine purpose before you were born. Your success is directly connected to discovering and fulfilling that purpose. Joseph's life is a powerful example. As a young boy, he had dreams of leadership, but his journey to fulfillment was filled with betrayal, slavery, and prison. If success were measured by comfort and status, Joseph's life would have seemed like a failure for many years. However, his purpose was greater than his circumstances. When famine struck the land, Joseph's leadership in Egypt saved nations, including his own family. His success was not in his position, but in the fulfillment of the purpose God placed on his life. Many people spend their lives chasing careers, wealth, and recognition without considering their purpose. They climb the corporate ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Without purpose, achievement is empty. A person may acquire riches but still feel unfulfilled because they are operating outside their true design. A bird is only successful when it flies, a fish when it swims, and a seed when it grows into a tree. True success is found in doing what you were created to do. Discovering purpose requires seeking the Creator. In Jeremiah 29:11, God declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Your purpose is not a mystery to God. He already designed it. The key to discovering it is intimacy with Him. Prayer, fasting, and studying His Word reveal His plan for your life. The more you understand His design, the more you align with His purpose, leading to true success. Some people fear they will not enjoy their purpose. They believe that following God's plan means sacrificing joy or personal ambition. This is a deception. Psalm 37:4 states, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." When you embrace your God-given purpose, you experience the deepest level of fulfillment and joy because your desires become aligned with His will. A clear purpose produces focus. Without it, people waste years wandering in confusion, trying different careers, businesses, and relationships without direction. Purpose simplifies decision-making. When you know why you were created, you easily identify opportunities that align with your assignment and reject distractions that pull you away. Jesus operated with this clarity. In Luke 2:49, as a boy, He said, "Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?" He understood His mission early, and every decision He made was centered around fulfilling that purpose. Businesses thrive when they operate within their purpose. Apple succeeds because it focuses on innovation. Toyota excels in reliability. Every successful organization has a clear mission. Individuals must do the same. Identify your gifts, passions, and burdens. They often point to your purpose. Ask yourself, what problem am I designed to solve? Who am I called to serve? What ignites my passion? The answers to these questions bring clarity to your assignment. Walking in purpose requires patience. Many give up too soon because they expect instant results. David was anointed king as a teenager, but he spent years in obscurity before sitting on the throne. Purpose requires preparation. Every experience, good or bad, trains you for your assignment. A delay is not a denial. It is God refining you for greater impact. 2, true leadership is rooted in service. Matthew 20:26 states, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." Leadership in the world is often seen as power, status, and control. But in God's kingdom, leadership is defined by service. The greatest leaders are not those who demand loyalty, but those who inspire it through their sacrifice and humility. Jesus, the greatest leader in history, demonstrated this principle. Though he was the Son of God, he washed the feet of his disciples, a task reserved for the lowest servant. In John 13:14-15, he said, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." True leadership is not about seeking a throne, but about meeting the needs of others. Moses was called to lead Israel, yet his leadership was not about personal power. He interceded for the people, led them through the wilderness, and sacrificed his comfort for their well-being. His leadership was defined by his willingness to serve. He was not perfect, but his heart for the people made him a great leader. Modern leadership often fails because it is rooted in self-interest. Leaders who seek personal gain rather than the good of their people eventually lose influence. History proves this. Dictators and corrupt leaders may rise, but they always fall because their leadership is not built on service. Great leaders prioritize the needs of others. Martin Luther King Jr. led the civil rights movement because he served a cause greater than himself. Mother Teresa became a global icon, not because she sought fame, but because she dedicated her life to serving the poor. Leadership is not about position. It is about impact. True service requires humility. Philippians 2:03-04 instructs, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." Leaders who elevate themselves above their people eventually lose credibility. Servant leadership builds trust, loyalty, and long-term success. Service-driven leadership is also the key to legacy. Jesus never wrote a book, held a political office, or amassed wealth, yet his leadership continues to impact the world because it was rooted in service. The most influential leaders are those who leave a legacy of transformed lives. Servant leadership requires courage. It is easy to command others, but it takes strength to humble yourself. Many avoid servant leadership because it requires sacrifice, but this sacrifice produces greatness. Proverbs 11:25 states, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." The more you serve, the more you grow. Leadership is about lifting others. A true leader empowers people to become better. Jesus told Peter in Luke 22:32, "When you have turned back, strengthen your brothers." Leadership is not about keeping people dependent on you, but about raising them to their fullest potential. A business that serves its customers thrives. A government that serves its people prospers. A family led with love and service grows stronger. Success is not measured by how many people serve you, but by how many people you serve. True leadership is about adding value to others, and when you lead with service, success follows naturally. Proverbs 22:29 states, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank." This verse emphasizes that diligence and excellence are the keys to elevation. Success is not accidental. It is a result of consistent effort, discipline, and mastery of one's craft. Excellence separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Those who put in the extra effort, who refine their skills, and who go beyond what is required will naturally rise above the rest. In a world where mediocrity is common, excellence stands out. It attracts opportunities, opens doors, and creates influence. The story of Daniel illustrates this principle perfectly. Despite being a captive in Babylon, he distinguished himself through his exceptional wisdom, knowledge, and integrity. Daniel 6:03 states, "Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. His diligence and commitment to excellence made him irreplaceable." Diligence requires discipline, Many desire success, but lack the work ethic necessary to achieve it. People admire great athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and influential leaders, but few are willing to make the sacrifices required to reach that level. Kobe Bryant was known for practicing at 4 a.m. while others were still asleep. Elon Musk works tirelessly to push innovation. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is often the willingness to do what others refuse to do. The Bible is filled with examples of individuals who were promoted because of their diligence. Joseph, while in Potiphar's house and later in prison, remained faithful in his work. Even in unfavorable circumstances, he maintained excellence, and his diligence led him to the highest position in Egypt. Had he been lazy or careless, he would have remained in obscurity. His promotion was a direct result of his attitude toward work. Excellence demands constant growth. A person who stops learning and improving will eventually be replaced. The world is evolving, industries are changing, and new innovations emerge daily. Those who remain stagnant get left behind. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." Whether in business, ministry, or personal endeavors, commitment to growth and mastery leads to greater success. Diligence also builds credibility. Employers promote workers who are reliable. Clients trust professionals who consistently deliver outstanding results. Proverbs 10:04 states, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." Many people struggle financially, not because of a lack of opportunity, but because of a lack of diligence. Those who go the extra mile gain financial stability and influence. Excellence requires perseverance. Many quit too soon because they do not see immediate results. Farmers plant seeds and wait months for the harvest. Businesses require years of effort before becoming profitable. Success is a process, not an event. Those who remain consistent will eventually see the fruit of their labor. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Jesus exemplified diligence and excellence. As a carpenter, he worked with precision. As a teacher, he spoke with wisdom. As a leader, he served with passion. His commitment to his assignment was unwavering. Those who follow his example will experience divine promotion. 4. Integrity is non-negotiable. Proverbs 11:03 states, "The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity." Integrity is the foundation of lasting success. Without it, everything built will eventually collapse. Integrity means being the same in private as in public. It is doing what is right even when no one is watching. Many people are talented, intelligent, and hardworking, but without integrity, their success is short-lived. A person can build a fortune through deception, but dishonesty always leads to downfall. The story of Job highlights the power of integrity. He was tested beyond what most people could endure, losing his wealth, health, and family. Yet, Job 2:3 says, "He still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." Job's integrity sustained him through hardship, and in the end, God restored him with double blessings. Integrity attracts divine favor. Lack of integrity destroys trust. In business, relationships, and leadership, trust is everything. A business with dishonest practices will lose customers. A leader who lacks integrity will lose followers. A person who breaks promises will lose respect. Trust once broken is difficult to rebuild. Proverbs 22:01 states, "A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold." A person's reputation is their most valuable asset. Integrity is tested in small things. Luke 16:10 states, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." Those who are dishonest in minor matters will be dishonest in major ones. A person who steals a few dollars today will steal millions if given the chance. Character is developed in everyday decisions. Many talented individuals have fallen because they lack integrity. CEOs have lost billion-dollar companies due to fraud. Politicians have ruined their careers due to corruption. Athletes have been stripped of titles due to dishonesty. Talent may take a person to the top, but only integrity keeps them there. Integrity brings peace. A person with integrity does not live in fear of being exposed. They do not have to remember lies or cover up mistakes. Proverbs 10:9 states, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out." Those who operate in honesty experience freedom from guilt and anxiety. The Bible commands fairness in all dealings. Leviticus 19:35-36 states, "Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantity. Use honest scales and honest weights. God blesses those who conduct business and personal affairs with honesty. Success achieved through deception will not last." Daniel's life provides another example. His enemies tried to find fault in him, but could not because he was blameless. Daniel 6:04 states they could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Even when faced with death, he remained faithful. His integrity led to divine protection and promotion. Integrity requires courage. Standing for truth may result in opposition. Many choose compromise because of fear, but short-term gain through dishonesty results in long-term loss. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow to the king's idol. They risked their lives, but were rewarded with supernatural deliverance and honor. Integrity may require sacrifice, but it always brings greater rewards in the end. God honors those who walk in righteousness. Psalm 84:11 states, "No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly." A person with integrity may face setbacks, but their destiny is secure. Their legacy will stand the test of time. Habakkuk 2:02 says, "Write the vision and make it plain." Vision is the ability to see beyond present circumstances. It is a clear mental picture of what the future should be, guided by divine purpose. Without vision, life becomes aimless, decisions become reactive, and potential remains unrealized. Vision is what separates leaders from followers. It is the driving force behind all great achievements. A person without vision drifts through life, accepting whatever comes their way. Proverbs 29:18 states, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." This does not refer to physical death, but to a lack of direction, purpose, and fulfillment. A life without vision is a wasted life. Nehemiah had a vision to rebuild the broken walls of Jerusalem. He saw beyond the ruins and imagined a restored city. Despite opposition from enemies, he remained focused on his assignment. His vision gave him determination, and within 52 days the walls were rebuilt. Those who have a clear vision are not easily discouraged by obstacles. They press forward because they see the outcome before it materializes. A vision provides motivation. Athletes endure rigorous training because they see themselves winning championships. Entrepreneurs work tirelessly because they envision thriving businesses. Students sacrifice leisure because they see themselves graduating with honors. When vision is strong, temporary discomfort does not lead to quitting. The Apostle Paul endured shipwrecks, beatings, and imprisonment because his vision was to spread the gospel. He stated in Philippians 3:14, "I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Clarity of vision determines the quality of decisions. People who lack vision make choices based on immediate gratification rather than long-term impact. Esau sold his birthright for a single meal because he had no vision of his future inheritance. Those who see beyond the present make sacrifices today for a greater tomorrow. Vision requires faith. God often reveals a vision that seems impossible by human standards. Abraham was given a vision of becoming the father of nations when he had no children. The vision of leading millions into the promised land was given to Moses, a man who once fled Egypt as a fugitive. The fulfillment of a vision is not based on personal ability, but on divine empowerment. Writing down a vision is crucial. When something is written, it becomes a constant reminder. Successful businesses have mission statements. Nations have constitutions. Personal vision should also be documented to create focus and accountability. Vision must be accompanied by action. Dreams without steps remain fantasies. James 2:17 states, "Faith without works is dead." Joseph had dreams of leadership, but he worked diligently at every stage, whether as a servant in Potiphar's house or as a prisoner in Egypt. Vision is realized when consistent action is taken toward its fulfillment. Distractions are the greatest enemy of vision. Many start with great intentions but get sidetracked by temporary pleasures or unnecessary conflicts. Jesus was approached with many opportunities to prove himself, but he stayed focused on his mission. In Luke 9:62, he said, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." Those who continuously look backward never move forward. Vision determines legacy. The impact of a person's life is measured by the fulfillment of their vision. Those who live with vision leave a lasting mark. The pyramids of Egypt, the Great Wall of China, and the inventions that changed history were all the result of people who saw beyond their time. A person's vision outlives them when it is pursued with diligence and faith. Hebrews 11:6 declares, "Without faith it is impossible to please God." Faith is the force that turns impossibilities into realities. Every person who accomplished great things in the Bible did so through faith. Success is not determined by resources, background, or connections, but by the ability to believe in what God has spoken. Faith is seeing beyond natural limitations. When David faced Goliath, he did not focus on the giant's size, but on God's power. Others saw a warrior too strong to defeat. David saw an enemy too big to miss. His faith gave him victory, proving that challenges are overcome by perspective. Fear is the greatest enemy of faith. Many dreams remain unfulfilled because fear paralyzes action. The Israelites stood at the edge of the promised land, but allowed fear to stop them from entering. They focused on the giants instead of God's promise. Numbers 14:8-9 states, "If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us." Joshua and Caleb were the only ones who had faith, and they were the only ones from their generation who entered the land. Faith requires action. Believing without movement is useless. Peter walked on water not because he was special, but because he stepped out of the boat. As long as he focused on Jesus, he defied natural laws. The moment he looked at the waves, fear took over and he began to sink. Success requires stepping out in faith. Even when circumstances seem uncertain, faith thrives in the face of challenges. The three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to bow to Nebuchadnezzar's idol. They declared in Daniel 3:17-18, "The God we serve is able to deliver us, but even if he does not, we will not serve your gods." Their faith was not based on conditions, but on conviction. As a result, they were thrown into the fire, but came out unharmed. Faith does not eliminate trials, but it ensures victory in the midst of them. Faith must be built daily. Romans 10:17 states, "Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." A person's faith is determined by what they consistently listen to. Those who feed on negativity, doubt, and fear will struggle to believe. Those who immerse themselves in God's promises develop unshakable faith. Speaking faith is as important as believing it. Mark 11:23 states, "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them." Mountains represent obstacles, and faith-filled words have the power to move them. Many remain in difficult situations because they constantly speak failure instead of declaring victory. Faith often requires endurance. Abraham waited 25 years for his promised son. Joseph spent years in prison before reaching the throne. David was anointed king as a teenager, but waited years before taking the throne. Hebrews 10:36 says, "You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised." The timing of fulfillment is in God's hands, but the responsibility of faithfulness belongs to us. Faith connects the natural with the supernatural. Jesus often asked those who sought healing, "Do you believe?" Miracles happen when people exercised faith. The woman with the issue of blood was healed because she believed that touching Jesus' garment would change her life. Blind Bartimaeus received sight because he refused to be silenced. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is absolute confidence in God's power and promises. Those who walk in faith accomplish things beyond their natural ability. When faith is strong, no challenge is too great, no obstacle too big, and no dream too impossible. The greatest among you will be your servant. True leadership is not about power, control, or personal gain. It is about service. In the kingdom of God, leadership is not measured by how many people serve you, but by how many you serve. Jesus, the greatest leader in history, demonstrated this principle. John 13:04-5 describes how he took a towel, knelt down, and washed the feet of his disciples. In that moment, he redefined leadership. The task of foot washing was reserved for the lowest servants. Yet Jesus performed it to show that leadership is about humility, love, and sacrifice. He told his disciples, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet." John 13:14. He was teaching that leaders must serve before they can truly lead. Servant leadership is built on selflessness. Many aspire to leadership positions for personal prestige, but true leadership requires putting others before oneself. A shepherd does not exist for his own comfort, but for the well-being of his flock. The best leaders are those who care deeply about the people they lead. Moses is an example of a servant leader. He led the Israelites out of Egypt, not for personal ambition, but out of obedience to God and love for his people. Despite their complaints and rebellion, he interceded for them, fasting and praying on their behalf. In Exodus 32:32, he even told God, "But now, please, forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." That is the heart of a true leader, one who sacrifices for those they serve. A servant leader prioritizes the needs of others. Businesses that thrive are those that focus on serving customers with excellence. Marriages that succeed are those where both spouses serve one another with love. Churches that grow are led by pastors who shepherd their congregations with care, not those who seek personal recognition. Effective leadership is not about titles, but about influence. Many have authority but lack influence because people do not trust or respect them. Leaders who serve earn the loyalty and dedication of those they lead. Joseph gained the trust of Pharaoh and all of Egypt because he proved himself through service. Though he started as a slave, his commitment to serving others positioned him to rule. Servant leadership also requires empathy. A leader must understand the struggles, fears, and challenges of those they lead. Jesus did not lead from a distance. He walked among the people, healed their diseases, and listened to their cries. Hebrews 4:15 states, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses." The best leaders are those who lead with compassion. Great leaders are also great listeners. Proverbs 18:13 warns to answer before listening. That is folly and shame. Leaders who do not listen make poor decisions because they lack understanding. Listening is an act of service because it values the opinions and concerns of others. Servant leadership is not weakness. It requires strength. It takes humility to put others first. It takes patience to serve those who may not appreciate it. It takes wisdom to lead with integrity in a world where many seek power for selfish reasons. But those who embrace servant leadership will find themselves elevated. Jesus said in Matthew 20:26, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." Deuteronomy 28:1-2 states, "If you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God." Success is not based on human effort alone, but on alignment with divine instructions. Many pursue success through hard work, intelligence, and connections, but without obedience to God, success is temporary and unfulfilling. Proverbs 10:22 states, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it." God's way of success is different from the world's. The world chases success at any cost, often sacrificing integrity, relationships, and peace. But obedience to God leads to success that brings joy, peace, and lasting impact. Obedience requires trust. When God called Abraham to leave his homeland for an unknown destination, he obeyed without question. His willingness to follow God's instructions led to generational blessings. Genesis 12:2 records God's promise, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." Abraham's obedience not only secured his own success, but set up his descendants for greatness. Disobedience, on the other hand, leads to failure. King Saul had great potential, but lost everything because he refused to obey God's instructions. Instead of destroying all the Amalekites' possessions as commanded, he kept the best livestock, thinking he could offer them as sacrifices. Samuel rebuked him, saying in 1 Samuel 15:22, "To obey is better than sacrifice." Saul's partial obedience was still disobedience, and it cost him his throne. Obedience often requires stepping out in faith. Peter had to obey Jesus' command to cast his nets again after a night of catching nothing. Though it seemed illogical, he obeyed, and the result was a miraculous catch. Luke 5:05-6. Obedience unlocks supernatural provision. Success through obedience is not always immediate. Noah obeyed God's command to build an ark despite there being no sign of rain. He endured mockery for years, but because of his obedience, he and his family were saved. Many abandon obedience when results are not seen quickly, but true success is reserved for those who remain steadfast in following God's ways. Obedience to God requires discipline. The world promotes instant gratification, but God's path often involves patience and endurance. Joshua 1:8 provides a clear formula for success. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Success comes not just from hearing God's word, but from living it daily. Many think obedience to God means giving up personal desires, but true obedience aligns desires with God's purpose. When Solomon asked for wisdom instead of wealth, God not only granted his request, but also blessed him with riches and honor. 1 Kings 3:10. 13. God's blessings always exceed human expectations. Obedience also brings protection. The Israelites were given specific instructions for their survival in the wilderness. Those who followed God's commands were preserved. Those who rebelled suffered consequences. Deuteronomy 28 outlines both the blessings of obedience and the curses of disobedience. God's instructions are not restrictions, but guidelines for success. True success is not measured by wealth or status, but by fulfilling God's purpose. Many achieve worldly success, yet feel empty because they are outside God's will. Jonah ran from his divine assignment and found himself in a storm. His success was only restored when he obeyed God's command to preach in Nineveh. God honors those who obey him fully. Partial obedience is disobedience. Selective obedience leads to compromise. But complete surrender to God's will brings unshakable success. Psalm 101:3 describes the person who meditates on God's law as like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. The secret to lasting success is unwavering obedience to God. My friends, success is not about how much you gain, but how well you fulfill your purpose. Leadership is not about status, but service. If you apply these principles, success will follow you. You will rise in influence, not because you seek power, but because you serve with integrity, diligence, and faith. Today, make a decision. I will live with purpose. I will lead with humility. I will serve with excellence. I will walk by faith. And when you do, you will leave a legacy that will outlive you.